Hey, Rob here for Quadratec. Today we're taking a look at and installing a set of Oracle LED off-road side view mirrors available for the 2018 and newer Jeep Wrangler JL and the 20 newer Jeep Gladiator JT. Now, these lights are designed to illuminate the area to the side of your vehicle when you're off-road, allowing you to see better when you're on those extremely dark trails. And they do so without the need to install any additional lighting or brackets up on the cowl or A-pillar area of your Jeep, which could potentially block or limit your forward-facing visibility. Now, Oracle has done this by creatively integrating these auxiliary lights right into the front of your driver and passenger side view mirror covers. Now, with this kit, you're going to get a replacement mirror cover and light assembly for both the driver and passenger side of the vehicle. There will be some disassembly of your factory mirrors to get these installed. But as you can see, what you end up with is this really unique looking light integrated right into your mirror. We've got 12 individual 1-watt high-powered Cree LED chips in each mirror. Those are held in place with a die-cast billet aluminum housing there that also features some cooling fins on the backside to keep those LEDs operating at the appropriate temperature. The entire mirror housing itself has been crafted from a very tough and durable polycarbonate material that's in fact stronger than the factory ABS plastic that was used on your side view mirrors. Now, when we combine both the driver and passenger mirror together, that gives us a total of 24 individual 1-watt Cree LEDs, outputting a total of 2,200 lumens of light while drawing just 2 amps of power. As you can see, each mirror comes with a 2-piece wire harness here. Once these are installed on your factory mirror assemblies and in the doors, these disconnects will end up right next to the existing factory disconnects to retain the ability so that you can easily still remove your front driver and passenger doors if you choose. Now why don't we go ahead and get these installed on the Jeep so we can light them up. The first step we need to do is to remove the mirror from the door. I went ahead and disconnected the door check to swing the door all the way open just so I can show you guys a little bit better while I'm working here. You don't have to do that. You can complete this entire install with the door just in its regular open position. We're gonna go ahead and remove the 3 T30 Torx bolts securing that mirror in place. Make sure that you're holding the back of that mirror so that it doesn't fall out of the door. With those bolts removed, go ahead and disconnect the electrical connector, and then we can set the mirror aside. With the mirror removed from the door, the first thing we need to do is to disassemble the factory mirror so that we can swap the new Oracle assembly onto our existing mirror housing. We're gonna get started by flipping the mirror over, and we need to pull the glass away from the mirror. Give it a good firm pull to pop that mirror off. Be careful when you flip it up because you are gonna have some wiring hidden on the back side of that mirror. We've got 2 connections for the defroster. We also have a connector for the blind spot indicator if your Jeep is equipped. Now, this connector is held in place on the back side of the mirror. Using a small flathead screwdriver can be helpful here to pick that connector out, and we can disconnect it. At this point, you can set the mirror aside. And now we need to separate the 2 halves of the mirror. A panel tool can be helpful here. You can also use that same screwdriver to push on some of these tabs as you're separating the halves. With the 2 halves separated, we can set the factory shell of the mirror aside. We're not going to need that any longer. We also need to go ahead and pull this rubber gasket away from where the mirror mounts to the door. And then we can pull the existing connector out slightly just to give us a little more room to work. Now, using a small piece of wire, we're going to feed this through the mirror base up following the factory wiring in the mirror. This is going to help us to fish the new wiring harness for the Oracle light assembly down through the mirror base. With that wire fished through the mirror base, we can go ahead and tape our new wire harness for the Oracle light to that wire to help us pull it through the base of the mirror. Then we can just continue to pull that wire all the way through the mirror. so that we can set the new base on the back side of the mirror. Take your time setting these two together to make sure you're not pinching any wires. And with the halves snapped back together, we're now going to install 6 of the supplied screws in the locations found on the inside of the mirror, just to better help hold these two pieces together with the added weight of the light. With the screws installed, we can reinstall the mirror. Make sure that you reconnect your blind spot indicator, as well as the 2 defroster connections. And then we'll reset the glass back into the mirror housing by lining it up and giving it a good firm push. Now the very last thing we need to do is to go ahead and reinstall this weather seal on the base of the mirror. I like to cut a small notch in here to allow for the new wire to pass through. You'll want to leave that wiring connection out from the base just slightly again to allow for the added new harness to come out. At this point we can move back to our door. We need to remove the interior door panel so that we can fish that wiring for the Oracle light behind the panel following the factory wiring connection. To do so, we've got to remove 5 fasteners. We've got 2 down here along the bottom, 2 just under the armrest, and 1 here at the door latch. The 2 at the bottom are T20 Torx fasteners. With those removed, we can next remove the 2 T30 Torx fasteners found under the armrest. And finally, using a small pick tool, if we open the door latch, you'll see a very small hole that we can insert the pick tool to pry that panel out of the way, and then remove the final T30 Torx screw hidden behind. Next, we can use a panel tool and pull firmly to pull the door panel away from the door. With the door panel removed, you do want to be careful because we do have some electrical connections and cables back here for the latch and lock mechanisms. We actually don't need to disconnect any of this stuff. We can simply let the door panel kind of hang here by those cables for the few minutes while we're working. We only need access right here to the factory wiring that passes through the door and out for the mirror. We're going to follow that wiring down with the new harness and run it through the door check strap. Go ahead and pull this plug out of the door. I also like to push this little push clip in through the door to allow for some extra slack in the wiring. And that's so that we can use the factory wiring to help fish that new harness right through the proper path through the door so that it won't get snagged by the window glass going up or down. Go ahead and tape that new Oracle harness to the factory wiring, pull it through the door panel. Once we have access to it, we can untape it, finish pulling the wiring all the way through the door, and then reinstall the mirror with the 3 factory T30 Torx screws. Next, we need to route the new harness through this factory grommet. You could simply poke a hole and pull it through the grommet, but I like to keep things as weather tight as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and cut away the tape on this grommet so that we can roll it back as far as possible, and then insert the new Oracle harness down next to the factory wiring, at which point we can kind of roll back that grommet over top of the new Oracle harness as well. And then with a little pushing and pulling, you should be able to work that harness right through that factory grommet. We can go ahead and pull the rest of the wiring through, then go ahead and zip tie that Oracle harness to the factory harness right next to that push retainer, at which point we can go ahead and work that back into the door and then tape everything back up. Then we can go ahead and route that harness down following the factory harness. And again, we're going to cut away the tape on the door check strap so that we can feed a wire fish through that check strap and pull the Oracle harness through the check strap, again following the factory wiring. At that point, once we have it pulled through, we can come back, tape up the check strap and the harness, and then zip tie the Oracle harness to the factory wiring so that it doesn't get snagged when we reinstall our door panel. Now with everything reassembled, this is what you should end up with. Your new Oracle harness right here next to the factory door harness that plugs in right inside of your kick panel. Now for the second half of the harness, Oracle kind of leaves that up to you. It's basically going to depend on your specific Jeep and how it's set up. You could choose to install this to a switch that you install somewhere on the dash, or maybe an aftermarket switch solution that you have installed in your Jeep. This Jeep happens to have the auxiliary switches on the dashboard from the factory that offers a very convenient solution to tapping into one of those switches right over at the passenger footwell. You could also tap into those under the hood alongside the battery. With the connection made to the auxiliary switch, we can go ahead and fire up our Oracle LED off-road mirror lights and see just how bright these things really are. I really like that we don't have to mount anything additional up in front of the windshield in our line of sight to get a ton of functional and usable light. The fact that these lights are on the mirrors automatically is projecting that light out into an area not previously covered by your forward-facing lighting, like your fog lights and your headlights. When I project this light up against the wall of the shop, you can see just how much additional light is cast out to the side of the Jeep, in addition to the low beam on the headlights and the fog light. Even when I activate the high beam, we're still getting a ton of additional light from the Oracle LED off-road mirror lights. And that light is cast in a nice, even, wide flood pattern thanks to each of those individual 45-degree beam optics. Now, if you guys want to get more information or to purchase a set of Oracle LED off-road mirror lights for your 2018 or newer Jeep Wrangler JL, or your 20 or newer Jeep Gladiator JT, you can click that info button to head over to Quadratec.com. Of course, if you have any comments or questions about the mirrors or how to get them installed, you can always leave that for me down in the comment section below, or contact us directly at any of the options on the screen. And as always, if you haven't already and you like these videos, do me a huge favor, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as the notification icon, so be sure to catch all of our latest videos. Till next time, I'm Rob. I'll see you out on the trail.